Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome back to 2030 Insight Live. We're here live in Singapore, and we say welcome if you're tuning in from around the world. It's Monday, it's our second day together, and you might be catching up later, but whatever brings you here, wherever you're tuning in from, a very warm welcome. Can we have a cheer from the room in Singapore here? Yes? We are cooking on gas, very good. So much food for thought in our opening sessions about the world of work. And now we're going to talk about world-class campaigns under the theme of Love Your Eyes. So I'm very much looking forward to this. So to get us in the mood, you will be familiar with this campaign already, but really just to put you on sort of notice in our audience here in Singapore, we want to harness your thinking in this session, your ideas, your creativity, your imagination, to help us think, how do we take something already good to the next level, to take it globally to more people with more partnerships around the world. So a little bit of food for thought. Let's have a reminder of what this campaign is all about.
Nikiwa mkubwa nataka nikuwe mwalimu, na nikiangalia blackboard sioni vizuri.
Naona akiwa na macho mbaya sasa hataweza itakuwa ngumu kwake.
Over 1 billion people around the world have poor vision without access to treatment. It holds them back at school, at work, and in life. Yet we know that 90% of sight loss is preventable and treatable. Around the world, steps are being made to ensure nobody is held back because of poor vision. But there is more to do. We are calling on governments, businesses, and decision makers to give access to eye health services to those who need it most.
Nataka nitipiwe ili niweze bado nikuwe tuna afya, ndo nilee na ning'ang'ane kwa maisha nisonge mahali niko.
We know how to make it happen. We must make eye care accessible, ensure sight tests are available, and make glasses affordable to all those who need them.
Mimi kama macho itaona, na nikipata biashara naweza weka.
Access to eye health can change lives. Join us as we call on everyone to love your eyes.
Wow. I hadn't actually seen that video before. That's actually a very powerful video. We've got a brilliant lineup of guests to reflect on this campaign, where it's come from, and also where it's going. So let me just tell you who's here. And also, because I don't want Jeff and Sarah in particular, or Bussy, to wait too long before I patch you in. So warning, I'm going to ask you, if you only said one thing today about the Love Your Eyes campaign, what it would be. But let me just tell you who's here, everybody. Sarah Core is with us from Horizon, and I'll be particularly quizzing Sarah about public-private partnerships. Jeff Todd from Prevent Blindness, but particularly on activating the campaign across the USA. We want to hear about your wins and what's next as well. A very warm welcome to Bussy Msech. Thank you very much for joining us, Bussy. You work with the Council for the Blind, specifically in Zimbabwe, and we want to hear how that particular country activation has gone, so thank you for being with us. Needing little introduction, Caroline Casey, President of the IAPB, joins us as well, and we're going to reflect not just on the campaign, but also some of the people and its next steps, how we really smash it through to the next level. By no means least, sitting next to me is James Chen, known to many of you already, a formidably successful businessman, but actually an activist, a campaigner, a co-creator, if you like, of the campaign. So we're very grateful to James and to your foundations for all their support. But why don't we say a big welcome to all of our guests. Thank you for being here. So with that, Sarah, if you said one thing about Love Your Eyes today, what would it be?
Collaboration.
Yeah, is the key. Absolutely. And in terms of sleeping giants, people we need to awaken and welcome them into the room, who's in your targets? Who's in your sights?
honestly, it sounds a bit weird, but everyone,
Yeah.
because you need every single individual
Right.
to be part of it.
Got it. Thank you. Jeff, let's pass it down. Just a thought starter to fire us up.
Okay, well, I guess my thought starter would be to those of you who stayed up all night wondering who the person was who got the Love Your Eyes tattoo that was mentioned yesterday by Peter. That would be me.
Yes!
And so I'm happy to share that with you now.
Oh.
There we go.
That is real commitment, Jeff. Thank you.
So that's dedication is your word, is it?
That's dedication. So I guess my one word is just, we were serious about the campaign, but we also had fun with it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jeff. And for the family viewers, I'm just relieved about where you chose to put it. So can I say thank you for that, for that as well. But anyway, that's quite a relief. Thank you. Pussy, your thought starter on Love Your Eyes, please.
For me, it's a multi-sectoral approach and collective action. So it's 2 words from me.
Yeah, so multi-sectoral, crucial, absolutely.
Yeah.
Caroline.
Hard for me only to say one word. Heart. It's
Yeah.
at the heart of everything we do.
And there's a reason, isn't there? There's a heart in the logo. Just say briefly why that is, because that is important.
Because I think the idea of loving your eyes gives you the greatest chance to be the freest, to reach your potential, to be the very best that you can. And it's something we should never take for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, James, we're going to talk for a little longer. However, if we only had 20 seconds, what's the one thing you'd want to put out there?
The first word that comes to mind is actually 2 words: all in. I think it's this campaign we started with. It was a dream, but the team that put it all together, we were all in. Always all in.
Yeah, fantastic. We're grateful for that. Now, let me ask you a blunter question, James. You could support any cause you chose to support. Why Vision?
Okay, well, I think number one, it's kind of obvious, right? I myself didn't find out I needed glasses until I was in upstate New York going to school, went to try and get a driver's license, and then failed the eye test, and then got glasses, and it's like, oh, okay, the world is different. Yeah. And then, I had grown up in Africa and spent most of my career working in developing Asia, and it always struck me then, how come so few people need or wear glasses, right? And at that point, I had no idea, is it because they don't need it or because they don't have access to it? Of course, now we know, right? It's the latter, by the way.
Yeah.
And then, starting on this journey, so I've been working at this for 20 years now, just to try to answer this question, right? Is it because they don't need it or they don't have access? And if they need access, why aren't they getting access, right? And pushing, and it's taken 20 years to really start to get some of these answers. Yeah. And along the way, we did a campaign. I started an NGO in Rwanda to bring vision correction to the bottom of the pyramid. Even the IAPB thought it couldn't be done, and they rejected us as a member when we tried to apply. And
I'm sure they love you reminding them of that.
No, I think it's important to know from where we came from, right?
Yes.
And then that was successful. And to be fair, IAPB then accepted towards the end of the Rwanda program. They accepted us, and in fact, immediately promoted our CEO to be a trustee of IAPB. They recognized. And then we went on to said, okay, we're going to do this campaign, clearly campaign. And again, this is something that some of the big INGOs thought they wanted to do, but then once they realized what it would take, they got cold feet around this, right?
What was at the core of the Clearly campaign? What was the big idea?
The big idea was to say, at the time, right, everyone thought of poor vision as an issue in health and in the health silo, but in the health silo, you got people dying of diseases, malnutrition, so many things that seem much more important. Someone with blurry vision is kind of at the bottom of the pyramid, at the bottom of the priorities, right? And so what we did in the Clearly campaign was to reframe it's a different paradigm. It's not just a health silo. You know, in fact, when we started the Clearly campaign, we put an advertisement in the New York Times 4 days before the Sustainable Development Goals were passed, listing the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Then we put a big red stamp on it, said, oversight, you forgot vision.
Right.
Okay? And so that was our goal in that campaign, to say, you know, we need vision to be recognized on par with these 17 goals.
Absolutely. Just a final sort of more personal question. We talk about the campaign as well. Entrepreneurs famously take risks with ideas, and it occasionally or often strikes me with your approach that you apply similar thinking to philanthropy. Am I on the right track there? Tell us more.
Yeah, you're absolutely on the right track. You know, I think, you know, philanthropy, to cut a very long kind of discussion short, right? Philanthropy, most philanthropists today don't take enough risk. Bottom line is, you know, they're funding the easy things, right? Putting your names on buildings and hospitals, very, you know, worthwhile, but not very risk-taking, right? And I think in the world today, where there are so many you know, crises that need to be addressed for humanity, right? That's not good enough. And those of us with the means, you know, and the passion, right, need to go and do these things that take, you know, it's this kind of philanthropy, you know, I'm terming moonshot philanthropy.
Yes.
And to be a moonshot philanthropist, frankly, you need to spend at least 10 years and $10 million US. You've got to spend that time to develop that 10,000 hours, you know, to become an expert. This is what Malcolm Gladwell said. And I totally believe it. That's what it takes.
And be prepared for it not to work.
And no, that's the whole point, is because, you know, when I started, I knew nothing about, you know, other than the fact that I needed glasses. I knew nothing about and I still don't. I know very little, right? But by applying those, essentially the venture capital approach that works so well in the for-profit space, using that model, and which is taking high risk, right? Knowing that you're going to fail on a lot of things, right? But every failure, we learn something. And through that, we continue to, and through perseverance, I developed the domain expertise to be more comfortable to take better risks.
Right. So thank goodness you have done. Here's a voice that says to you, James, we see 1,000 points of light, 1,000 flowers blooming, however you want to put it, in terms of small grassroots actions in eye health. Why do we need a global campaign? Why do we need a campaign at all? What do you say to that voice?
Well, because you know, there's so many worthwhile causes out there, right? And vision would, you know, was not even, as I said, it was not even on the radar screen, you know, of the global community. Now it's on the global screen, right? And now we actually, by getting the UN resolution passed, now we actually have to deliver. We said, oh, this is a problem. Everybody agrees with us now. Now we as a sector need to deliver on this, right? And in that, we really have to compete with the other sector, the other causes on resources.
Right.
Not that we need to take, you know, everything, but we need to get, you know, some resources to allow us to be able to deliver on our pledge.
Right, so I mean, you're sort of central in that sense to the origin story of the campaign, but at warp speed, take us up to the present day. Where's the campaign got to so far? Because we're going to spend a chunk of time looking at the future, but what can you be proud of? What's been achieved? Because colleagues might be joining us for the first time.
So I think that first stage of the campaign, which took about almost 6 years, was to get the UN resolution, right? Yeah. And that happened in July 2021. At that point, I had a discussion with Peter Holland. I said, hey, Peter, this is time for us to then merge the campaign into the IAPB, because, you know, the IAPB has much larger convening powers with its members globally, right? Because this is now we need to be in delivery mode. And so the campaign switched towards trying to bring everyone together, right? We all need to speak the same language to the world, to the governments, to the public, so people understand what the problem is and what the solution will be, right? Because prior, before we did the Clarity campaign, you ask every NGO and everyone had their own statistics, so people are confused. One of the crazy things was, nobody knew what the real number, how many people need help? And there was all these numbers, going from a couple of 100 million to a couple of billion.
Yes.
Right? But now we all talk the same language, and that's so important for us to be able to get traction with the world.
So we're going to bring in other campaigners and voices as well. But if this was the quickfire round, the Love Your Eyes campaign, who is it for?
It's definitely for the public, for people around the world need to know, hey, this is a problem, and more importantly, hey, this can be solved, right? Then we need to have all the whether it's corporates or governments, right? Everyone has their part to play in this, right? And not least of which is the NGO community, because the NGO community will be dealing with the most difficult part of it, which is the part where there's market failure, right? At the bottom of the pyramid of every country, you have people who are not getting service, and it's the NGO community working with government that's going to need to figure out how do we get service there.
Right, got it. Okay, final quickfire question. How will we know that the campaign has been a resounding success? What will we have seen or experienced?
That's when everyone on Earth can see the day that Elon Musk lands the first person on Mars.
Can see. So that's clarity.
That's what our goal is, that everyone on Earth will be able to see that momentous historic event, right? We'll know that we have, and that's the point. We need to beat Elon Musk. He's brilliant, but if he can do that, send someone to Mars, we should be able to sort this problem out.
Yeah. Speaking of moonshots, right? Love that. Thank you. Well, let's sort of fire up the discussion with another bold example of campaigning. Hands up if you have heard of Lowry Moore. Hands up if you know about Lowry Moore. Does that name ring a bell? A few. You might, when you see her appear on our screens, go, that's who Lowry Moore is. But this is a reminder of a campaigner that I just think is fascinating, but inextricably linked with this topic as well. Let's just have a quick reminder about her.
World Sight Day is our flagship annual campaign where we're asking everybody to love their eyes and think about their own eye health and ideally get a sight test.
On World Sight Day, a 13-year-old girl is taking on the stigma of wearing glasses.
Pardon? Oh, that's fancy.
So when I was 9 years old, I wrote a letter to Disney asking for a princess or a main character to wear glasses. And now we have a positive role model, Mirabelle in Encanto, to help those little girls and boys feel like they are beautiful no matter what. We are on another campaign. So for World Sight Day, we are trying to get an emoji that wears glasses. It was actually my mum. So she was looking to find an emoji that represents me, but all she found was the nerd, the granny and the teacher, and I'm clearly not any of those. So I've written a letter to the president of the group of tech companies to ask for an emoji that which they have the option to put glasses on. I love to see an option to add glasses to face emojis, similar to changing skin colour or hair colour, as you've already made available.
When I got glasses, there was a certain person who told me that I looked like a nerd wearing glasses, so I didn't wear them for about 3 months.
I personally thought everyone looked cool without glasses. It made me feel left out. When I realised I needed glasses, I actually didn't want to wear them at all because I thought I wasn't going to be cool.
People don't say nice things about people wearing glasses. It's just like, oh, they're a nerd because they wear glasses. And it's not true.
Because I'm not really self-conscious, but I know a lot of people who are, and they don't really like to wear their glasses, but how it makes them look.
Glasses are an everyday thing, and it's just not fair to not see it on an emoji when I want to express myself with a glasses emoji, because that's who I am.
Her initiative is such an important contribution to World Sight Day and to tackling some of the stigma that's associated with wearing glasses. Here in the UK, research shows that actually children who wear glasses are up to 37% more likely to be bullied in school.
All I want is for people to have an emoji that represents them and they feel confident in using it, instead of somebody using a nerd emoji and them feeling bad about themselves. I went through a stage of not liking my glasses, but now I feel confident in my glasses, and now that's how I want others to feel.
I think it's really amazing that she's done that and she's only 13.
And I think that Laurie's been doing this for us, for everyone that wears glasses.
I really feel like because young children are introduced to technology at such a young age, it will make them feel much more secure about themselves. We really believe in what she's doing.
Globally, over 450 million children worldwide have some form of vision impairment. Children are 2 to 5 times less likely actually to be in school when they don't have access to eye care and they don't have their glasses and they're not able to see, the board in front of them. Glasses have been shown to be one of the most effective health interventions for children, reducing the odds of failing a class by up to 44%.
Better representation for glasses wearers is exactly what we need to break down the stigma that's been around for decades. Eye tests and glasses are not very expensive at all, but they can completely transform a person's life. Hopefully, we can get our voices heard in a positive way.
Love it, the great Larry Moore, yes. Now, Sarah, on this panel, I don't want you to feel inadequate, by the way, but I'm just saying, you're welcome to join us in the glasses-wearing community anytime you like. So we're going to get reflections from all of you momentarily, but Caroline, Larry's a great example, isn't she? One individual, big idea, phenomenal campaigning power. Could you just reflect briefly on what you see in her?
One of the things I love, she's a troublemaker, a positive troublemaker, and I love troublemakers because that's, I guess, what I think I am. But what I think Larry does that really reminds us of the importance that this is an everyone issue, right? That this is, you don't wait for the government or the NGOs or whatever, that actually, and this is the campaign, Love Your Eyes. Yeah. And she is this extraordinary example of a young person bringing her story, holding her accountability, and that contagiousness.
Yes.
And it's really based on story.
Yeah, and what I want to quiz you on, though, is what she put her finger on with the Disney letter and with the emoji was this stigma, this association of glasses with weakness. Even in the Disney films, the glasses wearer, when they became successful or a hero, their glasses disappeared, and that sent a signal, like it or not, to millions of kids for generations.
Does, and I think so many of us can relate to it at school. I was bullied at school with glasses, and actually I took mine off, and because it didn't actually make a huge amount of difference. But when you when you're at disco and you're a kid and the boy looks at you and kind of goes, well, you're not sexy, so you don't wear your glasses. And you got to realize that is what those young girls, let alone the perfection that they have. But what Larry, I love it, is she didn't care about reaching out to the CEO of Disney because she was 11 and she goes, well, of course I want to see a princess with the glasses. Larry, she was 9 at the time, So she didn't think about Mr. Disney and who am I to do that. And there's a great sort of sense, I think Bono, everybody knows, I'm Irish, like from U2, he would say, the less you know, the more you believe. And there is something extraordinary about those new voices coming into this sector. Young people freshly challenging and just saying, well, why not? Is there an emoji with glasses that I can put on? Or I can see a Disney princess.
100%.
And I think that's infectious and it's contagious.
It is, 100%. So why don't we start to explore how the campaign is sort of being brought to life on the ground? Bussy, would you sort of lead us off, particularly with your examples in Zimbabwe? What have you been up to? How's it been going? We want to hear triumph, but also challenge, if you don't mind sharing.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. What we have been doing in Zimbabwe is we started the campaign, it was on a low scale, that was in 2021. I think we only covered 2 sites. And then 2022, yes, it was a very big campaign because, as I mentioned earlier, we did a multi-sectoral approach and also collective action. So what we had was we involved the eye health personnel, and even the non-eye health personnel were very excited as well. They joined us in the campaign. So what we had is we have our vision centers. There are more than 15 around Zimbabwe. So we all had the same theme. And last year we started the campaign on the 11th of September up to the 12th of September. So by that time, we reached something like 9,884 people, close to 10,000 in that month, when we said we're doing a collective action of eye screening. And the areas where we covered the schools, and we also covered the workplaces, and we also went for the community, and then we also asked our eye units to just do free screening, because at times we do charge, but that time we said no, this time it's this whole month as we dedicate ourselves to this Love Your Eyes campaign, because we would love to reach every individual.
So that's interesting. So you're extending it a month of action,
Yes.
but with some specific calls to action.
Yes.
To offer free screening. How did you tell people that it was even happening? What were the approaches you were using?
The approaches that we're using were the social media really played a role. So we had our Facebook flooded with the messages, and then we also had our eye units also put posters in their strategic places, and then we also had messages going into the schools to say on such a date our team will be visiting your school for the screening.
Yeah.
So it and then there was a time when my team and I went to the media also to publicize the event. So we wanted to make noise everywhere, and
Okay.
even with the companies, we also try to network with the many that we could possibly reach to say, when can you have us in this month? Would you like us to come on the day when we're commemorating World
Yep.
Sight Day in October, or you want us to or give us any other day that is within that 4-week period?
And may I ask, how is this being funded, Busi?
What I can say is every eye health personnel, it feels obliged to give their services for free for that month. So as I say, that's a collective event. No one wants to get any funding, but we do provide a bit of lunch for some people that would go maybe for the school screening or even for the community screening. So it's Council
Understood.
for the Blind, and some of our donors do the provision for that.
Okay, and biggest thing you've learned so far about activating in Zimbabwe?
The biggest thing that I've learned so far is, yes, it's doable. We can do this as long as we make a lot of noise, people can hear us. Yeah. So it's different, like what I said in 2021, we really didn't put any effort. But 2022, it was a collective effort. I could really feel the energy, and we're still going up to now.
And what about unfinished business? Is there a type of organization that you would like to engage and haven't been able to yet?
Yes, I would like to engage more of the telecommunications companies out there. I think they can really help us amplify the message further. So the telecommunications, we are coming to you.
Okay, so now the boss of a telecoms company says, you have my attention, what should we do together? What's your top request? How do you see that? And Sarah will get your advice on this as well, but what would you do together? What's the vision?
The vision is this year we're focusing on the workplace. We want to send out the information about loving your eyes at the workplace, because there are a lot of things like back in our country we do have the minors. I remember seeing a person who had an accident because they were not wearing goggles, and at the end of the day they lost their eye because they had some minor accident. So we want to spread out those messages that really get to the individual to say, you yourself in a workplace where you need to protect yourself, what is it that you're supposed to do? And then we're also looking at the children or even any other individual to say, what are you going to do? What kind of diet are you doing? And that practice of health that is promoting eye health.
That makes good sense. Okay, so and very briefly, Sarah, if we're going to help Busi land this telecoms partner, what would she need to do well to secure that? Because it's got to be a good value exchange between them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has to be creative, number one, but also it has to literally be a partnership. You have to talk to them and understand where the other side is coming from, get many different partners in the room, because the more you get, the stronger it is. But really, it's an engagement of discussion rather than a transaction. So definitely explain to them why it's important to them and how it could affect them as well. And if the company, the telecoms company, is truly invested in the cause, which you have some, you have others, but if they really are, it will be a very straightforward understanding. It shouldn't take too much decision.
So here, I suppose, is the bigger question for you, Sarah, but for the room's benefit. When global campaigns talk to global organizations, are they better off seeking global partnerships or local partnerships?
Depends what the aim is. So, I mean, you can use the global setting as step one, and then ask them, look, we want to do it in these different countries. Can you help us connect to those different countries? So just take it as a step-by-step approach. And then you will be able to get there.
If we go, feel free to go beyond eye care,
Yeah.
who's inspired you in that way, in terms of you want to see a partnership that has smashed it cross-sector? Where would you take us?
Oh, that's a difficult question.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, even this campaign has really crossed a lot of boundaries. It's been really creative in how it's done things. I mean, the fact that Lowry's involved in this as well is so unique. But, you know, I just think that we're on the right track.
Okay, but we want further advice and encouragement. I wonder, why don't we turn our sort of mind sort of stateside, Jeff, in terms of what you've been doing, what you've achieved, and what's next? Help bring us up to speed.
Sure, I think, you know, we've been partnering with IAPB for many years now, a couple decades, but we were particularly enamored with the Love Your Eyes campaign when it came out. It just rang true to us, and it was something that some of the previous things that IAPB shared were a little specific and directive. This allowed us to take the work that we're already doing and wrap the Love Your Eyes campaign and messaging around it. So we were able to take our policy work, our programmatic work, and our marketing work and bring it into a campaign. So we reached out to one of our partners, Horizon Therapeutics, who'd been a partner of ours for a while, and had a conversation around what we could do together around World Sight Day. Last year, we ran with the focus on legislative centers, and we conducted 8 events around the country, one on Capitol Hill. It was actually the first public event in the Capitol building post-COVID and post-January 6th, which created all sorts of challenges. It was up until the day whether or not we were going to do it. But it allowed us to have a national policy background there on the opening event. And similarly, we did a month-long campaign.
And did that have a sort of, was it more around awareness? Did it have a pointy sort of policy change end to it? What was the point?
I mean, it really was kind of broad and around awareness, but our policy effort last year as an organization was really about increasing funding to support surveillance of eye care. And so we really used that messaging to help advance some of that policy. And then we worked with our state affiliates, and we did similar efforts at four different state houses across the U.S., and then a couple of add-on community awareness efforts. And so it was just a really great way for us to reach out to partners, community partners, industry partners, and come together and take the work we're already doing, but shine a light on it.
So I suppose the challenge, Jeff, is, and we'll get Sarah on this as well, the gauntlet's been thrown down by James is like staggeringly ambitious in terms of who this campaign reaches. I wouldn't call it niche. Yeah? To do that is going to require a lot of creativity and probably partnership. How, even in the US, are you going to reach over 300 million people?
Well, I think, you know, you kind of hit on it. You can't tackle it all at once. You go bit by bit by bit, you know. And so working with from the community level, an example that we're doing, we recognize that if we want to increase equitable access to eye care, the best avenue for us to do that is in community health centers in the U.S. So we're reaching out to the community health center partners to figure out how we can engage them in vision. They're not doing it very well now, but they see the need in doing that. So it's about working at the community level and moving up.
So, and Sarah, if you were approaching this sort of with fresh eyes, so to speak, dream partners and the secret to those public-private partnerships?
Well, firstly, I cringe a bit at the word public-private partnership. It sounds very business-oriented.
Does it?
The partnership is what is key. And like I said, the creativity has to be there. So going to the IT companies, think outside the box. Don't always go to the same usual suspects that you would want to partner with, and get as many as possible, because you need the groundswell. So just get creative, especially something like eyesight affects every single one of us in all of our functions, in all of our industries. So just get creative.
All right, so let's have some ideas then. I mean, we shouldn't really ask you for free ideas, but help us think. What would you be throwing out there into the mix?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious is always coming to industry, but IT is a great example. We heard yesterday transport. I thought that was a great example. You don't automatically think about these things, but when you get your driver's license, what's the first thing you have to do is an eye test. So you don't think about these things. So broader, even, I mean, I love animals, so my aim is to try and get the seeing eye dog community in, for example. That's a little bit more obvious, but you know, there are so many ways of trying to bring in the same message. And what you said, it's broad enough, so you can wrap your own campaign around it, but it's still under the same heading. It has the same goals, it has the same end and same aims.
Yeah. So just very briefly, Karen, on the dream partner question, who would you want to see at the table?
Well, can I just say there's a thing we haven't talked about, which is FOMO, fear of missing out. And you're talking about how do we build that momentum? And 300,000, of course we can do that, right? But it's actually every one of our members, organizations, and that's why your work, Boozy, is so important. It's how do we get our membership to activate that, right? Because the fear of missing out, it's like a train leaving the station, people want to get on it, okay? So that's the very first thing. I also truly believe that we need to do that creative thing that you're talking about, right? And who's to say we can't? You know, like for me, this campaign is the key to joining all the dots that we're speaking of. That is the power of Love Your Eyes. We all have eyes, so it's all relatable, and it's that way. So what creative thing can we do? Could we get, I don't know, an electric bubble and travel around the world and get it? I mean, let's start thinking big and use it, and the intelligence that's there. And thirdly, I think there is a group that we have not spoken about at all, is universities, right? Have you ever, do you remember when you were an idealist, when you were lucky enough to finish the school, you thought you could fix the world, and there you go, and you're in universities. Why are we not getting to academia and to universities? And that age group who kind of want to fight for the idealism and who don't think about what is or is not possible. So.
Jeff.
I just want to jump off that real quick, because one of the things we're doing for this World Sight Day, speaking of universities, is we're reaching out to the Delta Gamma sororities across the U.S. They have a mission of eye care, and so we're engaging them at the university level to share this message across colleges and campuses.
Great, good to hear. Is there, let's invite some questions and reflections to sort of supercharge this. You might start with, why don't we? Could we? We should. So please, I'll come to you. But are there any other campaigns in other areas that you sort of idolize, that you think, look, we could learn a lot from that campaign? There must be dozens.
Well, can I just say the Ice Bucket Challenge? Remember we all knew the Ice Bucket Challenge, right? Yes. Everybody knows the Ice Bucket Challenge. And there was something about that, is it became something everybody could do. And I think, I know this white glasses thing, but how many of you got your photograph taken yesterday with those white glasses? So has anybody got an idea of something as simple as that everybody can do, that they can invite in? It has to have a sense of joy, right?
What do you think was the core of the Ice Bucket Challenge's success?
It was fun. It was fun.
It was fun. What else? It was ridiculous.
Exactly.
What else? There was one thing more than anything else. It had an inbuilt referral mechanism.
Exactly. Yes. It was like, James, will you go and throw a bucket of ice water on yourself and I'll laugh at you, right?
Okay, Ice Bucket Challenge. Any other campaign while we're thinking about it? Say we could learn from them. We aspire to them. What else? Why aren't campaigns coming to mind? That is a deeply troubling question.
Dove Real Beauty. Yeah. Dove Real Beauty was another brilliant one, is when we worked out that 96% of women in the world did not feel that they were beautiful.
Right.
And we got a very powerful brand behind making something that was so unspoken about. And once it came out, the stories. And the reason that Dove worked was using human story.
And you know the reason it actually worked behind the scenes is because Dove is owned by Unilever. That's not why, but how they tipped the Unilever execs, almost all male, was showing them films,
About their daughters.
probably not morally acceptable today, of their daughters
their
and wives
daughters.
talking about how they felt about their own appearance.
Yeah, and that goes to the human story. And I think we have to keep remembering loving your eyes. At the core of this is everybody has their story. And can I just say this thing that we take for granted? We take our eyes for granted. And I just want to recognize everybody in the room who is living with a vision impairment. And I really appreciated Brandon speaking to that earlier on today. So I think that you're absolutely correct. What's the human experience?
Yeah, fantastic. Let's come to the gentleman here. Thank you very much. Feel free to say who you are. And we're welcoming feedback, questions, ideas. Let's try and sort of wire us up together.
I'm coming from Indonesia. Has a song been written to celebrate this campaign? Thank you.
Great question. Timed in Glastonbury takes place as we speak. A song.
I want Sky Full of Stars by Coldplay. So does anybody know Coldplay?
Does anyone know of a song? Do you remember Slip, Slop, Slap in Australia, by the way? Anything? Have we had a song on this theme?
It's not a song, but in our organization we do have a poet. So he did a poem in Ndebele last year.
Ah.
Could
we did you commission someone?
Music, I'll have to ask him whether he can do music, but we do have a poem to Love Your Eyes.
Okay, so this is good. It's a brilliant suggestion. Let's get some more ideas over here. Yeah, feel free to say whatever's on your mind. Here we go. We'll race it around.
I wanted to share an example of a campaign it was in India called Ring the Bell, where it was, it was targeted at men for domestic abuse. So there was an advertisement which was aired where anybody who could hear a woman screaming, they would just need to go and ring the bell so that they could know that they've been heard and it could stop. So an action could also be a way of generating awareness. And for Ice Bucket Challenge, I think that was an action which was easy to do and could bring in people together.
Yes,
so just a second more. It goes to a question that I wanted to ask. So apart from creative, we need strategy as well. So while our audience is everyone, how are we staging our target audience in order to make sure that the messaging develops, as one messaging cannot target everyone?
And briefly, while you've got the mic, have you got a thought or a piece of advice on how that gets staged? Where would you, if we were brainstorming it now, what would you be putting on the table?
I usually take a life cycle approach. So when I wanted to do a campaign on safe abortion, we targeted young girls first and then parents, because it starts at home. So we started doing that, at least for safe abortion, according to the landscape we mapped. But depends on a lot of research, interviews, in-person conversations to understand who can be impacted more easily. So low-hanging fruits first, and then taking those examples and inspiring others.
Yeah, really great. Thank you. Let's get some more voices. I do want us to reflect on that, Caroline, but why don't we just go right in the middle here? Thank you, Simon.
Hi. I'm from Brazil, and in Brazil we have a campaign that we established in 2016 that we call April Brown. So every month of April we try to connect with media, with the government, and one example of, I think, 2019, we pick all the highways from São Paulo state, and we put like advertisers in brown, because in Brazil, almost all the people has brown eyes, so that's the motive that we choose the brown color. And it's just, it's like advocacy work that we do to give them, to the population, like a knowledge that how important is your vision, and how you need to take care of that, and why you need to looking for someone to say, because almost the time we saw in the video that like 90% of the vision's problem can be avoided if you get someone to take care of you, like if you get some help. Yeah. But almost the time the people doesn't know or doesn't give the reference that they are losing the vision. So that's the point. Like you need to go to the optometrist or to the ophthalmologist at least once a year to understand how is your vision, and so that's amazing. what we are trying to do.
April Brown.
April Brown.
So and in April you write messages in brown.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, it's mad and brilliant, isn't it? Really. But
yes, and then we, like this year, we created like a landing page.
Yeah.
And we put a lot of information actually from YAPB. Drew is with us on that.
Yeah. I love it.
And
Cool. No,
we are
thank you.
trying to put for all institutions, councils, societies of ophthalmologists, and everyone to use this landing page
Yes.
like a reference to have
Thank
this.
you. ¿Cómo se dice en español?
In português.
In Portuguese, of course. Say the name of the campaign.
Abril Marrom.
Huh?
Abril Marrom.
Abril
Marrom.
Marron. Abril Marron. Right, that's what we'll look up. Thank you. Let's get another voice in here. I want to come back on segmentation particularly because this idea of it's for all, but how does that break down? Please, here we go.
Hi, very quickly, idea from New Zealand. In 2021, we were the first country in the world, because of our position in the globe, to feed into the UN on Love Your Eyes. That was pretty cool, and was our first go at it from the most remote place in New Zealand. Last year, we got together with the Millennium Hotel Group, and we did the tactile art competition, which was led by the visually impaired, our blind, low vision, deaf-blind community. And this was an art event where you could touch the art, and very, very rarely do we get to touch pieces of art.
It's banned, yeah.
And so that was a real hoot. But we're growing our relationship with the Millennium Hotel Group, which is an international chain, and they actually want to do something sustainable and their community responsibility. So that's just a quick idea.
By the way, Sarah, if you have a partner in mind, are you better off, I'm asking you to generalize, going to them with an idea or just going, we feel there's something between us, let's talk, let's brainstorm?
I guess it depends on the level of your relationship. I mean, we've worked so closely with Prevent Blindness, we can go up to them and say, let's do something. But if you already have an idea, bring it forward, be open to it being shaped, and then it should go that way.
Yeah,
we
that makes
worked,
sense.
we had our eye testing bus, we took it to baseball games and football games, and it was with them. It was a sort of collaboration to do these things.
Yeah,
So.
love that.
Can
Team,
I-
give us
sorry,
some more, yeah?
I just want a quick, Madam, could you please look for me afterwards? I'm actually meeting with the Millennium Hotel Group. It's owned by a Singaporean company, Pontiac Land. And so I'm actually meeting with them tomorrow in the afternoon. So I would definitely,
Yeah.
That's a perfect moment. Can we just talk the segmentation piece? That's really important. So as you can see, with this year, we're saying love your eyes at work. And the issue of segmentation, you're absolutely right. We can't get to everybody. And the strategy is important. So when we talk about love your eyes at work, and I think Boozy would have spoken to that really well, is that we want our companies to provide screening for their employees, okay? But how could we get to all of the employees in the world? How can we do that? So this year, last year it was Love Your Eyes, this year it's Love Your Eyes at Work, because we believe that the private sector or the world of work is a great place for us to catalyze or amplify or accelerate. So that's where it is this year. What we would love to hear, are there other places to which you believe would be really great to segment? Would it be Love Your Eyes at school? Is it Love Your Eyes at play? Because that, in a way, is how we can connect with certain groups and different people.
Yeah, no, great challenge. I want to
Can
sort
I
of pile in some more voices. Bussy, come on, please.
Okay. So what has worked for us is we do not need to reinvent the wheel in terms of messaging. IAPB has got a fantastic toolkits. I'm sure the World Sight Day 2023 toolkit is already available. So that is what really worked for us even last year, in the previous years. We just download that, it really works. So it really also provides the segmentation that you need. So should you want to target school children, in this case it's the workplace, already that is provided for us to use.
Yeah, really helpful. Thank you. Just pausing briefly, shall I tell you my plan, team? We're going to go down to the front row here, then back to this gentleman just at the back here, and then there was an offer right in the middle there, if that's all right. Are you still with us? Yeah, you're up for that. Great, fab. That's next steps, and then you tell me, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Oteri Okolo. I'm always coming from the government perspective because I work in government. And I'm from Nigeria. It's a developing country, and it's really easy to organize things around government because usually such countries are organized around government. So last year we had the first national commemoration of the World Sight Day. So basically it was coordinated by the National Eye Health Program, which I work in, and coordinated across 36 states of Nigeria, including the Federal Capital Territory, so that's 37 states, covering over 206 million people. So what we did basically was adopt the IAPB messaging, Love Your Eyes, and then we took the campaign to legislators. So despite the fact that I work in government, you have the executive as arm of government where I work in. You have the legislative also, where the rules are made and all the laws and all of that. And very often you find that there's a disconnect between the legislature and the executive. So we wanted a situation where they were also aware, and then they can make eye-friendly legislation. That's how we put it. So we had a screening in the houses of, should I say, the senators and the House of the Representatives, because Nigeria has a bicameral legislative system. So basically, it was very effective because it had national coverage, because we are talking to the major people in government. Also, we also had a collaboration with the Transport Ministry, because we reached out to them. And beyond just the Transport Ministry, we also went down to the grassroots. We reached the transport union workers, who were able to also reach out to the drivers at the major, what we call motor parks, or stations where vehicles move people around and things like that. So it was, the drivers were really very excited, because for the first time it seems, okay, the eye health people, the doctors and all of that are coming down to their level and actually explaining the relationship between vision, safety, and giving them the ability to be effective at work. And it was really very exciting. There's this picture I have of a driver who was being tested and wearing glasses for the first time. You needed to see the smile on his face, because he couldn't believe. Yes. So I wasn't seeing, you know, and things like that. And these are people that drive people around. Yeah. So I think.
Can I ask you, to go even further, what would your advice be to the campaign to lift its sort of sights higher?
So based on our experience last year, what I'm saying is we need to take our campaign to government spaces, because in a lot of countries, especially for my setting, a lot is arranged, or should I say organized around government. So when we get government to be part of whatever campaign we're doing, you find out that you reach a wider audience, you know, and then it's easier for people to just key in. Because you're reaching government and reaching the top officials, your media is also going to come and cover the event. So for the first time in Nigeria, we had a national commemoration of World Sight Day was widely publicized, and we're hoping to do the same this year.
Yeah, really powerful. Thank you very much indeed. Jeff, please do reflect.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and I particularly appreciate you mentioning the executive and the legislative branches. Last year we focused on the legislative branch as well, but this year with the Love Your Sight at Work campaign, we're planning to reach out to the U.S. Department of Labor and figure out how we can engage them, as well as the Chamber of Commerce. I loved the session this morning because it really outlined some of what we're doing, but working with the Department of Labor to talk about the importance of eye health at the government level and drive that down is important.
Thank you, Jeff. We're going to zip around the room because we are running up to time. Please join us.
Okay,
hello.
Holden Kim from LabSD. I think it totally depends on who we want to include in the campaign, and if we want to include everyone to the campaign. I think we should be afraid of more actively engaging more like a popular culture or internet memes. For instance, if you guys know anything about Star Wars franchise, stormtroopers are known for missing their targets. So if we can make a scene that we are providing reflection to the stormtroopers, I think that's going to have a huge impact on Star Wars fandom and general population as well. So I was just wondering if it would be the direction of the IAPB as well to be more collaborative with the popular culture.
Ollie, can I come in there?
Yeah,
So,
no, dude, by the way,
those who don't know
you're
me-
invited to the
Yes,
next creative
that's what I was going to
brainstorm.
say.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know me, I'm Simon. I'm Director of Communications, Campaigns and Events at IPB. And together with some of my amazing colleagues, we tried to put this together. But we really need everyone here's help in doing that. The reason I feel the campaign's been good and successful to now is because of that help. And there's many people in this room who've all the way along gone, Simon, maybe we do this, maybe you do that. I look at Victoria, and Victoria's been with us since the very start of putting this campaign together, and we really learned, and there's many of our partners in the room as well who always help us. So there's a session this afternoon. I must admit, the time escapes me. I think it's 2:30, but it may be later.
2:30, Simon.
2:30. In room 2, where we're going to go into this in detail, and those ideas are what we really want to take, because then we can go away and steal them, because good comms people just steal other people's ideas.
3:30.
3:30. Thank you,
Boosie.
Boosie,
Liz
because
Boosie
Boosie's with
knows.
us as well. So thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, that's good. No, thank you, Simon. Thank you. And thank you for that idea. May the force be with you, sir. Thank you very much indeed. How about in the middle there? I haven't forgotten you, and I see you just to the side here, and Simon might help us get a mic round. But let's go to the gentleman just second row from the back here. Did I see an offer there? See, I've sold lots at auction for less than that. You need to be careful around here. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ben. I'm from Papua New Guinea, and I work as the National Eye Care Coordinator. The 2030 Insight Live is making us alive, I guess, and so we should be going with the World Sight Day campaigns. I'd like to share with you what we've been doing. Like we've got a number of stakeholders that are involved, and they all run their own programs and celebrate the World Sight Day in various means. But I think one of the striking ones, I'll share a bit on last year as well. We had the Chief Medical Officer and the Department of Health basically involved, so that the message gets up to the department, so that they know that they have to prioritize eye health as well, because eye health is not in the priority list, I guess, for the health services. So, and we got the Chief Medical Officer, who is now the Deputy Secretary, and we got them to wear the I Love Your Eyes spectacle with the Chief Ophthalmologist, and we got the picture taken and sent to our APB office. Drew has it on the website. So, so we're trying to involve the Department of Health to do that.
No.
So that's one thing we did last year. But for this year, there's going to be an activity by one of the organizations, and that's the Port Moresby City Lions Club. And they've done it before in the pre-COVID days. It didn't happen because of COVID, but it's going to be happening again this year, and that's going to be a blind walk. And I really like this one. The blind walk is when they blindfold people, and they walk for, I don't know how long it is, but maybe 2-3 kilometers around the main stadium next to, where the government offices are and the Parliament House and so on. So I guess maybe for this year, because it's to do with the workplace, we'll probably get Chamber of Commerce and all these union people blindfolded and walk around and see.
Right. No, thank you. I'm sorry we don't have more time to explore it, but thank you very much indeed. Right now, the challenge now is that we've run out of time, and I'm feeling a little bit guilty, because why don't we get Simon, just if you wouldn't mind condensing your contribution, forgive me.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Heather. I'm a nurse from Australia, and I absolutely love everything that we're talking about today, and the campaign's fantastic, Simon. But I'm just wondering how we can shift from looking at this just from the public and attracting people to go and get their eyes tested and things like that, and how we can use that to leverage workforce. Because we are, particularly in nursing, we don't have enough nurses, and we're hemorrhaging nurses around the globe.
Yeah.
And so how can we use this campaign to attract and retain healthcare workers into eye care?
Yeah.
In nursing particularly, it's a huge battle when we're competing against things like midwifery and emergency, which is considered exciting to new graduates. So it's a real issue. So any help that we can have in using this in the workforce would be really great.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
challenge. Thank you, Heather. Well, what I thought would be good is if we're going to have a quick glimpse of sort of just a final short video around World Sight Day, because that clearly is a big sort of flagpole moment, if you like. But we talk about New Year's resolutions, but I'm interested in your sort of summit resolution, having heard these ideas about Love Your Eyes as a campaign. What does it make you resolve on a personal level, panel, to do more of, to keep doing, to really drive this up to the next level? Sarah, can I ask you?
To be I mean, we've talked a lot about creativity. Even I said be more creative, but I think that's where we need to go. It's when we're talking about all of these different sectors, I think that's trying to keep an open mind as to how we can bring the message over.
Yeah, there's something about psychological safety, of making everyone feel that they have ideas to contribute, not just the ones in the creative department. Jeff?
I think it's, for me, it's great that we had this campaign last year from September to October, but I want to keep the spirit of it running constantly, year-round. It's not necessarily the Love Your Eyes brand or anything, but the spirit of what we're trying to do and the energy, keep that involved and engaged in our work year-round.
Yeah, 365, 100%. Bussy, thank you.
Thank you. As Jeff has said, this is supposed to be continuous. It's not supposed to be just a once-off event and then we forget about it. And what I'm also taking is what the last speaker also said about advocacy.
Yeah,
yes, we do have a limited number of eye health personnel. So we'll also take this time also to advocate for more people in the eye health sector.
Within the campaign, those specific messages. Love it.
Yeah.
Caroline, your reflection.
I completely agree with Simon and hearing Boozy and all of the members. It's your campaign and your electricity. So please come today at 3:30 to give your ideas, because I think it's really important. But what I would say is impossible is an opinion. And I really think it's time to accelerate and amplify this. And I mean, go big or go home.
Yeah.
So, as a chairman of the Global Campaign Committee, and I've been working very closely with Simon so many years, and that it strikes me, and this is something we've been talking. We need to get, all these fantastic ideas and insights you're giving us. We need to figure out how to formalize that to get that. And I think maybe this session this afternoon will be the start of that. But we need to have the opportunity to do this, so that we gather. It's like, we don't want it to be just a top-down. Yeah. We need to know what's going on the ground and what are things that we can share from, one country to another and one community to another and
or partnerships,
one organization. Exactly. So very excited, and please do get in touch with us, and we want to listen to you.
Yeah, and such an important reframe, rather than saying, what can we do to you and for you, what can we do with you instead. So I've just got a couple of super brief reflections myself, particularly as we look to our afternoon. But I want to say the biggest thank you of all to our fantastic panel up here today for their contribution. Thank you very much, each and every one of you. Thank you. Yeah, we're about to, yeah. But to sort of have it sort of stuck in our minds now as we prepare to break and connect with each other, let's have a reminder of what this is all about.
After such a successful World Sight Day in 2021, we knew we had to make this year even bigger. We wanted to flood the day with reminders to everyone, everywhere, that it's time to love your eyes. And with the help of our global partners, our members, inspiring individuals,
we are trying to get an emoji that wears glasses.
the public, and some influential supports, nearly 7 million sight tests were pledged. We took sight screenings to corridors of power the world over to bring our message to those with influence. We saw record-breaking coverage in the media, and this year, people listened.
13-year-old Lowy. Now, Lowy wrote a letter.
Because the rights of people with disabilities will never be achieved if business is on the sidelines.
And World Sight Day landed on the map alongside other global days of recognition. It would not have been possible without all of you. So thank you. We can't wait to see what we can do together in 2023.
Thank you, and here's to a fantastic Love Your Eyes campaign. Thank you.